Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, I am Jennifer. I am a full-time artist and illustrator, and I make videos about all sorts of artsy things, from art challenges to speed paints to discussing topics that are important to creatives. And I sometimes make videos about selling at artist alleys, just like this one. It seems like a lot of you really enjoyed my last artist alley tips video, and so I have a few more for you today. Today's video, I have tips and tricks for you before you sign up for your first artist alley. Okay, let's jump right into my first tip. Tip number one is research, research, research. There's a lot of helpful resources for you out there. Anything I mention that is a link that you can click on, I will do my best to have it down in the description below. So the first thing you're going to want to do is research the actual convention that you want to apply to. There are lots and lots out there, and it seems to be a trend in the recent years of more conventions popping up. I always suggest researching the ones that are closest to you so you can save a lot on travel. There are a lot of resources that are specifically helpful for you finding cons near you. There's the ConCon app, and animecons.com and upcomingcons.com, and I'm sure a ton more. If you find really good resources for finding conventions, please leave it in a comment down below and I'll add them to the description box. It's also really important that you note the application deadline. You don't want to miss when you need to apply. Typically, you're not charged upfront for applying for your table, so I suggest applying to a variety of conventions near you, even if you think you won't get into a lot of them. This will help you become more familiar with the application process as well. There are generally 3 ways that con staff will pick the artists for their artist alleys. There's first come, first serve, a juried selection, and a lottery. So the first come, first serve is exactly how it sounds. If you reserve your table and they have table space, you get a table in the artist alley. The juried system is a little different. Here, they tend to have a window of time to apply, and then they will decide which artists will be a part of the artist alley from all that applied. And lastly, there's the lottery. And the lottery is everybody that applies, they will pick random artists to be a part of the artist alley. Typically, if you don't make the cut, you will be added to a wait list. Sometimes you can even ask the staff if there are open spots on the wait list that you can get on after the fact. So you still might be able to get a table if you didn't get in with the first round of artists. Lots of conventions will ask you to provide either actual photos or a link to a portfolio online somewhere so that they can see the kind of work that you do. If you don't have one, I highly suggest you create even a Tumblr or a simple Instagram account so that you can upload your artwork to show them your portfolio. You can even put together a free website like I have on Wix.com. This is not sponsored. It's just a tool that I use that is free, and I can use it as my portfolio. As you are researching conventions, it's really important that you find any and all rules that they have posted. It's really important for you to familiarize yourself with the rules, as some conventions will have different rules about what kind of art you can sell, the use of fan art, and even how you display your merchandise. It'll probably even lay out how you are supposed to act and clean up after yourself to take care of the venue space itself. It is very important that you adhere to all of these rules. A lot of people that run these conventions run multiple conventions, and if you want to come back the following year or even go to another convention that is run by the same staff, you want to make sure that you are following all of their rules. You don't want to make a bad name for yourself or your business. Another very important thing to keep in mind is needing some sort of seller's permit. This will all depend on the country, state, or even county or city that you'll be selling in. In the US, and specifically here in California, there is a temporary seller's permit that you can get that is absolutely free that will give you permission to sell at events like this. I can link the information for California down below, but I really urge you to look into the information based on where you're located. And if you're really confused and unsure about what kind of seller's permit you're supposed to have and anything else you need, make sure to contact the convention staff themselves. They will be able to point you in the right direction and give you the right information you need. I know that was just tip 1 and you may be feeling a little overwhelmed already, but my second tip is to start small. While you may want to apply to some really well-known conventions or even travel to a different state, I urge you to look at local conventions near you that might be on the smaller side. This is going to make a smaller investment for you up front. This will give you a better chance to get into the convention as well. I've been hearing more and more that places like libraries, local colleges, and even malls will have pop-up shops or little artist alleys that they do themselves now. These will typically be on the cheaper side to attend as an artist and will be really close by. On occasion, I even sell at a small event called the Mini Art Mart in the Japantown Mall in San Francisco. Looking into these opportunities as your first artist alley experience can help you save money, save on travel, and can overall be less daunting in their application process and the overall event itself. Okay, so I have mentioned the word investment quite a few times already, and that was no mistake, because tip number 3 is you need to look at this as an investment in you as an artist and your business. You need to know that this is going to cost money and you need to be willing to invest in yourself and your business. Upfront costs can be a lot more expensive than you realize in the beginning. You end up investing in the space itself, displaying your artwork on your table, as well as your actual investment of product. This is not to mention any sort of travel or gas or parking that you'll have to account for as well. So I don't want to discourage or overwhelm you with all this talk about how much you're going to need to invest. But I think it's really important to be realistic about the type of money you're putting forth in the first place. If you can see this as an investment in yourself, I think you can have a lot more of a rewarding experience at your first artist alley. Think of this as investing in your craft and the experience itself of selling your work for the very first time. Not to sound negative, but you should plan on losing money your first artist alley. There's just so much upfront cost that you won't have to invest every single time, but that very first one, you are gonna lose money, more than likely. And the thing is, if you're going into this thinking that it's all gonna be profit and you're gonna be making all this money, then that's not really the right attitude to start out with. If you do have that attitude, you're gonna get discouraged real quick. If you have the attitude that this is going to be an educational and helpful experience for you, you're gonna have a lot more value in that investment upfront. Tip number 4. In my opinion, it's important to think of yourself as a business owner and act as such before you even sign up for the convention. If you think about it, you'll be running a shop, you'll be interacting with customers, handling money, and selling a product. So it's really important that you know how to act the part. The more professional you appear, you can even fake it till you make it with this one, the more customers will respect you and your craft. A big factor, in my opinion, is looking the part. Many of you might have heard the term on brand. This is a really helpful concept when you are planning out what art to make, when you are making your art, building your website, designing business cards, and even planning the layout of your table. The more cohesion there is of your brand throughout all of these elements, the more professional you'll seem. Now, branding and artistic style are very big topics for other videos, but it is important for you to strive for cohesion in as many elements as possible when you're planning everything. A little side note or side tip that I have for you too is any of your branding should match you as much as possible, not just copying another artist because they seem popular. The farther your branding is away from who you are as a person, the less potential customers will trust you because you may seem disingenuous or even fake. That was a little bit of a tangent, but an important note that I thought I would mention. Now on to the more businessy side of things. A really important thing to plan for is having change and a cash box or even envelope ready to go. What and how many bills you have is really going to depend on the types of things you sell and your pricing. But in general, you want to have a lot of ones, quite a few 5s and 10s, and at least a few 20s. You should consider these bills for when you are pricing your items as well. Having deals or certain items at prices that are in increments of 5 is going to make it a lot easier for people to pay in just one or whole bills. A lot of the time, people don't like getting change, especially if it's coins. So make sure that your pricing isn't sort of off in the change department, so you have something for like $1.50 or $5.25. That's just going to be annoying to make change for the customer as well as yourself. Speaking of money, it can really benefit you to have some sort of credit card reader, especially if you are selling at some sort of pop-up shop at a library, mall, or some smaller event. A lot of the time when these things happen, people are attending for other reasons or shopping at big box stores, and they're used to just having their credit card, so they won't have a lot of cash on them. The company Square has a really simple card reader that they send to you for free, as well as some other ones that read chips and things like that. And a quick side note about taking credit card is that any of these services that will send you a card reader will automatically be taking some percentage of each sale. It's usually not very much, but it will add up after a while, and it's important for you to keep that in mind when you're pricing your items. It's also important for you to realize the tax that you're going to need to charge within your prices. The way I do it is I just sort of absorb it in the whole bill price that I charge for my items, but that is something that doesn't go directly to me and something that I need to account for when I'm pricing my items to make sure that I'm not losing money. I know pricing can be a really stressful thing for artists to come up with, and it's really important that you research what other artists are charging. Another really important factor too is that you want to make sure that you're not charging too less. You want to look at what other artists are charging and make sure that you're pretty close to what they're charging as well for similar items. Even if you feel like they are more skilled or more talented than you, it's important that you don't undersell yourself. Even one artist that sells for way below what other artists are selling can actually hurt the artist community as a whole. I also want to throw in a quick question for you to consider when you're selling your items for the very first time. What do you do when someone wants to haggle on your prices to get something for a cheaper price? This is something that I've had to deal with and honestly kind of frustrates me. The way I see it is I have a store set up and I have brand new items that I am selling, and I'm not at some sort of garage sale just trying to get rid of my things. I have products that I have spent a lot of time and money investing in to get to you. There's no reason for you to want a cheaper price. Plus, I already have a lot of built-in deals, especially if you're buying more than one of a certain item. So there really isn't a need for a cheaper price. And on to my last tip. Tip number 5 is to plan ahead for your deadline. If you need to order things like art prints or even supplies like yarn or clay for you to make the items that you need to sell, you need to make sure that you have quite enough time for you to get those things, to make your items, and get everything ready before the deadline of the convention itself. The great thing about being accepted to a convention is having this built-in deadline. This can help you gauge how quickly you work and help you work quicker. Also, it's important to know that things like business cards or really any merchandise that you're getting is going to take some time to not only be made, but also be sent to you. Things that are going to be coming from different countries can have a really long shipping time as well. So that's something that you really want to take into account to make sure you have all the things you need before convention time. And if you are ordering prints, it's really important to not overstock yourself, and I feel like it's equally important to not have too much variety. What I mean by this is if you have way too many designs, especially if they are not cohesive enough with your brand or each other, it can be really overwhelming for a customer to see all these different types of artwork. I feel like it's better to have between 5 and 10 designs at the most that are all very cohesive. It's also important to not buy too many prints. It may feel like you're going to sell a whole bunch of one design and a whole bunch of another design, and it's really important to hold off on investing too much money up front on buying prints. I suggest buying only 5 to 10 different designs depending on what variety you have. So if you have closer to 10, I would have only 5 or so of each print. And if you have closer to 5 designs, you might want to buy a few more just to make sure you have enough stock to sell. Something to keep in mind for having overstock: while you can continue to sell this product online, on Etsy, or somewhere else at a different convention, the longer you hold on to a piece of older artwork as you grow and develop as an artist, the more and more you're not gonna like that first design that you had your very first convention. As you're developing and as you're growing as an artist, you're gonna start improving and seeing more and more issues with those first pieces you did. And you're gonna get really tired of seeing them. I can speak from experience on this. And later on, if you have a lot of stock left over, you may not want to sell that if it doesn't match your current skill level. Now, there are ways that you can get rid of old stock by doing giveaways or sticking them in extra packages that people buy, or having some sort of discount bin if you want to do something like that. But the more stock you buy at the beginning and you can't sell for full price, the more money you've wasted up front. And I have a quick bonus tip here at the end for you. This is something that I find really important and something that can be overlooked really easily. And that is to take care of yourself. A lot of the times at these conventions, you are dealing with a lot of people, a really large crowd, and you're exchanging money and exchanging germs without even realizing it. And a lot of the time people get sick even at conventions, but a lot of the time right after. It's important to take care of yourself and pack healthy food and snacks for you to bring so that you are also eating adequately and taking care of yourself in that way. A lot of the time your immune system is a little bit more compromised too if you've been stressing out the week or even a couple weeks before the convention. Something that I like to do is take a day off, either right before or right after a convention. My favorite is to take the next day off, typically that Monday after the convention weekend. Those of you have a normal day job, Monday through Friday, or something similar, this may mean that you want to plan ahead and take a day off if you can. I highly suggest this because you are going to be so tired, you're gonna want this extra time for yourself. This is also a really good time for you to reflect on how the weekend went and maybe make some notes or start planning for what you can do to improve for next time. All right, guys, I know that was a lot of information, but I really hope it was helpful. Make sure to, again, check down in the description box to get any links or other information that I discussed or what others have discussed in the comments. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Let me know, was this helpful for you? Is this something that you would want to hear more about from me? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this information, make sure to hit that like button and let me know that you enjoyed this and want to see more videos like this from me. If you enjoy videos like this and want to see even more artsy stuff from me and a little bit more of my process and the type of art I do, go ahead and check out my channel and subscribe if you want to stick around. As always, I hope all of you have a creatively fulfilled day. Bye, guys.